Cheers, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Sippin With Sin. Happy to have you here for yet another week of fun conversation and hanging out, talking about various things and having beverages. Had to get the cooler thing, the insulated cup. I couldn't think what the hell it was called to start this episode because here in Tennessee it's hotter than hell. There's no way to talk about it, like the dance around it. It's just hot. It's miserable. The humidity and everything. You walk outside and it just punches you right in the throat, and it sucks. But yeah, so that's what's going on with us. We got a fun-filled episode. Lots of stuff to talk about. We got some episodes that dropped this week, as well as some other things. And we're just gonna get right down to it, and we're gonna introduce our esteemed co-host that is not sweating profusely probably right now. The one, the only, Christian.
Hello there.
You're not sweating, right? Currently not sweating.
Currently not sweating. I was sweating earlier, though.
Dude, it's miserable. Jesus.
It's pretty hot. I was outside for about, I want to say 45 minutes, and I came back in and had to change my shirt. Like, it was bad.
Ooh. Nice visual there, sir.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, as you returning listeners know, and those that are new, what we like to do to start every episode, we like to talk about what we've been watching, reading, listening to, or playing currently, to kind of give a rundown of what's been going on for the week to pass since the last episode. And so I'll start it off this week. What I've been into, I finished Love, Death, and Robots. We only had like 2 episodes, I think, or maybe 3, and they're really short. So that was like no time at all, but pretty solid season. I will stick with the episodes I listed last week. The 2 episodes I said were my favorite remain true. I will say the final episode was trippy. That was a super freaking trippy episode. That was some weird stuff. But the 2 episodes I listed last week are my favorite episodes by far. I also watched Hustle, which, if anybody knows what that is, it's Adam Sandler's new movie on Netflix that has to do with him being a basketball scout for the NBA team, the Philadelphia 76ers. He's down on his luck, and he discovers an extraordinary player abroad in his travels. He discovers him in Spain, and he pretty much, long story short, he contacts the teams like, hey, I found this star, and they're like, what? We don't care. And he brings them without their approval to the States, and a lot of friction happens, and it's pretty much a story of him getting him to the NBA draft and possibly getting on a team and stuff like that. He just wants to coach, and yet he's a scout, and they keep kind of screwing him over. There's a whole dynamic with it. But it was a pretty good movie. I actually really enjoyed it. I watched it with the missus. She liked it as well. She went in with low expectations. But if you enjoy sports movies or anything like that, it was good. Tons of NBA players are in it, as well as coaches and stuff. So lots of cameos. But I enjoyed the movie. Good movie. I think it's like 2 hours long. But I watched that. And then I have also been binging the Hot Ones show with the missus. I have went down that rabbit hole watching the different celebrities eat hot wings. And it has inspired us to put an incentive out on the stream. So pretty much if we hit a certain goal on the stream, then me and the missus are going to do a Hot Ones challenge of our own, which is going to be god-awful. And my bunghole regrets it already. For sure. But it's a really fun show. It's on. I've been watching it on YouTube, just going through the different episodes, finding celebrities that we want to see their reaction stuff, and love watching everybody react to the bomb and stuff like that. But it's been entertaining. And also, one last thing I wanted to say before we switch and see what Christian's been into. I played. So the Summerfest game, Summerfest, whatever it's called, happened is currently still, there's some stuff still going on. So we're going to hold off on going into all the announcements and everything this week. But just so we can kind of get all of everything rounded up and kind of go over it with you guys. But I wanted to touch on one that I saw a trailer for during Summerfest, and they released the demo, I believe, the day after. And that would be Metal Hellsinger. So I played it last Friday, the demo. And it is a rhythm first-person shooter where you have your ability to shoot to the beat will enhance your gameplay experience. The more in sync you are with rhythm, the more intense the music will become, and the more destruction you will cause. So think of Doom, with metal music. And one cool thing they've already announced is that this game, all the music is DMCA free. And it has people like System of a Down's lead singer, Arch Enemy. I mean, it's just like a Trivium, Matt from Trivium. It's like a plethora of just like metal artists that come together to.
Oh, I have seen that. Yeah, didn't realize that the demo was out for that. That's awesome.
Bro, this game, like, I was like, this game could be cool. Like, definite Doom vibes. Like, think of Doom just going around, just like tons of enemies and stuff like that. But I will say the metal element and the music and like, shooting to the beat of the stuff, it is freaking sick. I really, really liked it. And I even played through the demo, like beating the main boss in like that level a couple times just to try to get my score up. And also the music, I was just jamming out to it, honestly. Like, I was just like, hell yes, this is awesome. So I'm super excited for that. I think it comes out in September. But we'll definitely talk more about that, in the future podcast when we go over the games that were announced and all that stuff. But that's kind of what I've been into this week. And I'm searching for a show to watch next week. Maybe an old show, maybe a new show. I don't know. We'll see. Or Christian may say something here in a second that may inspire me to check out something. So we'll see. But Christian, what have you been into this past week?
Before I go into what I've been into, quick question about the Hot Ones that you've been watching. Do you have a favorite guest on Hot Ones so far?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay, first off, I want to say I love the host. I think he is an excellent interviewer. What's his name? Sean.
Yeah, Sean.
Do what?
Yeah, his name's Sean. I was just agreeing.
I was trying to think of his last name, but okay, whatever. He is a fantastic interviewer, hot wings aside. And also, I think that's a great concept because, if you think about it, you're sitting here and like Paul Rudd, for example, who's been a guest on there, they're programmed to say certain answers. Like if you're like, what was your inspiration for, they've answered it so many times, it's like almost, just programmed into them. But you get in there and you're miserable, hot, and you're sweating, your eyes are watering, it just kind of screws up all that programming. I love it. I think it's great. Favorite guest so far? Oh, man. Post Malone's been pretty funny. Trying to think who all we've seen. Bert Kreischer. I like him, so he's always entertaining. His laugh kills me. Tom Scoria or whatever. I just butchered his last name because I can't talk today, apparently. Other comedian, he's funny. Elle, she was pretty solid in there. I was trying to watch Arya's earlier.
I haven't seen the girl that plays Arya. I can't think of her name at the moment.
Mace or something like that? Macy? Is that it? Macy.
Macy Williams?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
I haven't seen hers, but I did see... now I want to call her Elle, but
Millie Bobby Brown?
Millie Bobby Brown, yeah.
There we go.
I saw hers, and hers was okay, but like Millie Bobby Brown, just as a person, I'm not a big fan of her.
Ooh.
She's just really annoying. Like she's a fantastic actress. Fantastic. She's just really annoying as a person. I don't know if it's because like I'm so much older than her and she's so young, so she just seems annoying, or she just has a really annoying personality.
Fair.
But so far her personality has just been really annoying. And I just so watching her eat hot wings and like kind of complain but also complain is just not really my jam.
There's a lot of complaining in that show.
Yeah. But with that said,
Stone Cold and Undertaker were both really good on there too. I watched them. I was trying to think. There were some others that are like really funny, and I'm drawing a blank. You put me on the spot.
The guy that played Thanos, I can't think. Josh Brolin. Did you see his?
I have not seen his. Is his good?
And that one was great. I really enjoyed that one.
There's a lot. Like going through the list, I saw a ton of names. I'm like, wow, I need to watch these. Paul Rudd was pretty good. Obviously, the meme and stuff come from that. Would you look at us now or whatever? Would you just look at us? All that, like, that one was pretty good. But there's a lot that I want to watch on there. Just see how they handle it.
I watched a lot of them too. I actually watched Idris Elba yesterday as of the time of this recording. It just popped up and I was like, you know what? I got a minute. So I watched that one and I did enjoy it. So I watched his and his was really funny. His was the first one that I'd ever seen like online trending, because his reaction to the last dab hot sauce, like his reaction was all over the internet, and it was also a very famous like meme and gif. So I finally watched it yesterday, and he delivers, dude. It's pretty funny.
I think I was trying to find which one is the most views, like on YouTube. And I think it's Gordon Ramsay, because they had like 106 million or something like that views. It was crazy. I haven't watched it yet though.
Twice now. He's been on the show twice, so I saw his second run.
Oh, really? He's already done twice. Good God. Sucker for punishment. Dude, I don't see how. So when the bomb comes up, you have no one. Like, I think that thing just tastes like ass. Like, I think it's just literal heat. Like, there's no taste. Like, some of the others are like, okay, this is really hot, but it has a good taste. Bomb is just like, kicks you in the junk and lets you go about your business.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that's the point, though, right? That's why they give you all the cool tasting sauces beforehand.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just wanted to know that. And then also just wanted to shout out Batman, because today is the 30th anniversary of Batman Returns, which is a Christmas movie, if you guys didn't know.
Oh my God, here we
there's
go.
That.
Just because it takes place in Christmas, that makes it a Christmas movie? Just clarification.
Absolutely.
So Die Hard is 100% a Christmas movie, right?
100%. Anybody who disagrees, we can fight.
All right. I'm just getting clarification here.
Yeah. You don't, the movie doesn't have to be centered around Christmas, but if Christmas is happening during the film, if that is in any way a plot point, if it is brought up because it is Christmas or it's getting ready to be Christmas in the film, it is a Christmas film.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But as far as like what I've been like watching, listening to, all that, I started rewatching Breaking Bad, realized, and I know everybody listening right now is gonna be like, oh my God, I've never finished almost said Game of Thrones, sorry, but Breaking Bad, never finished it, so I just restarted it, and I will say Breaking Bad is one of those shows. It's really easy to forget how good it is. I think it's the best show that's been on like actual cable television ever of all time. Like it's fantastic. The acting is beyond good. The characters and their arcs are beyond good. You can totally get behind a lot of the characters and what they do, their motivations. It's really hard for me to watch the show and then understand, like, be like, why would Walter do this? Like, I totally get it. If I were put in the positions that he's in, I totally get it. Jesse obviously starts off as like one of the worst characters. He's such an idiot. The things that he says are terrible. But I mean, he grows as a character. He shows probably the most growth of all the characters when you get to the end of it. But I really, really like this show. I can't wait to get to the end properly and really get and see like what happens. But up until that point, man, I just love the show. I'm only on season 3, so I'm saying how good it is. I'm only on season 3. Like I just finished up what happens with Gus, so it's fantastic.
Wait, has Gus met his demise?
He has met his demise, yes.
Bro, that is one of the most badass parts in a show ever. When he walks out and he's like all half fried and he's still so calm and collected. And I was like, oh my God. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
That show, it took me a bit to get into it. Mrs. Sin like was really pushing for me to watch it. And I kept kind of like fighting it. And then I remember I watched like the first episode and I was like, it's okay. And then, like, time passed, I got off on something else, and she was like, Breaking Bad, and was, like, really on my case about it. So I was like, fine. Watch first episode again. I think it was around, like, the second or third, and then I was, like, hooked. I was all in and all aboard. And it, like you said, it's fantastic. It's a great show.
Absolutely. And to be honest, like, I was online the other day, and the episode for Gus's demise happened to be on. So I watched it, and I'm not actually on that episode on my proper watch through on Netflix, but I was just like, whatever. I kind of knew where this was leading because I remember seeing this before, so I just watched it, and it was great. I didn't feel like I missed a beat, and just seeing like at the end of that episode when you get the revelation about Walter and what he did, to the kid and stuff, like it's like, oh my God. So it's fantastic.
Indeed.
Anyway, aside from that, man, I watched that, and I've been watching this animated The Boys show that's on Amazon called Diabolical, I believe, and I've been really enjoying that. It's a bunch of like mini episodes. They're like 10 minutes a piece. And each episode centers around a different character. These aren't characters from the Boys show proper. They're all just like kind of random characters that we've seen or that we haven't seen. And it's just their stories living in the Boys universe. And for an example, like tell you how crazy, like one of the episodes I watched featured the Deep, and this is clearly before he gets kicked out of the Boys. If you're watching the series, but this girl gets a hold of some V. She's just, her friends kind of con her into doing a drug deal for like weed, and the guy has a V in his car, and he's getting chased by supers. So she takes the V home, takes it, and then wakes up after she takes a poop, and her poop comes to life, and they become best friends. Like, that's how crazy the show is, like the animated series. But there's a lot of stuff going on. The first episode I saw was about like a super baby. Like it's a lot going on in the show. It's pretty cool. But I definitely recommend it for those of you who haven't seen it yet.
How many episodes is it?
Sin, if you haven't seen it. I actually don't remember how many episodes it is. I think it's like 13 maybe episodes. But with that said, they're definitely really short. I think the longest episode I've seen was like 12 minutes maybe. Okay. So yeah, they're pretty short, really easy to watch. And I could have binged all of it, but I had a lot of work to do, so I just watched a few episodes before I went to bed. But anyway, other than The Boys Diabolical, which you should totally watch if you haven't, I've been watching Miss Marvel. I watched a new episode of Miss Marvel. And have you seen that?
I have indeed. I've watched both episodes. There's two, right?
Ooh, there's 2 episodes. That's correct.
Okay, yeah, I'm caught up.
Well, let me know what you thought about the first 2 episodes, because last week I don't think you had seen them all. So
right.
What do you think?
Okay, so we'll just do it this way. I'll tell you what I liked and what I didn't like. All right, starting with, I like the special effects. I like seeing her imagination put on the screen. For example, like drawings or stuff in her head like being said, or even text messages popping up in cool different places and formats across the screen. I think that's dope. I like that. And then that's about it. I'm gonna be honest. That's literally about all I like.
That's all you like?
Am not. The show is not for me. I'm not into it. It's too. I feel like it's too teeny bopper for me. Too many like teenage things. And I know that's a lot of it. And also it has the Marvel. I'm already seeing a Marvel love triangle thing going, possibly. I don't know.
Oh, you mean with what's his name?
Whatever. What's it? Bruno? Hold up. What's the dude's name? It's Bruno, right? Yeah, Bruno is her like genius best friend. And then Cameron or whatever his name is, her crush. I don't know. I don't know a lot about Miss Marvel as far as comic-wise. The most exposure I've had to her would have been the Avengers game. And she was cool in the Avengers game. I mean, it was kind of similar start, except it wasn't the, bangle or whatever she put on her wrist that gave her powers, which I'm still not for sure about, unless it's like a genie or something gave her that. I don't really know.
I think the Bengals, yeah. You're right about that. It's the Bengals.
I forget, in the game, it's something else. It's something else gave her power.
I believe it was in the comics, it was the Terrigen Mist. And in the game, I didn't really play the game, but there was some kind of like experiment accident or whatever.
Yeah, it was during Avenger Con, which is the same as the show. Like, because you're going around, you're seeing the different Avengers and all that, and she's a big fan, which I'm guessing is how the stuff is. But she's a huge fan of the Avengers and stuff like that. It's not really hitting for me, and I will say so. And this is a grown man. Maybe I'm too old for it to really hit home for me. But Mrs. Sin also watched it, and she wanted me to tell Christian that it's boo-boo shoes.
That's amazing.
She doesn't care for the acting. She said the acting is, she doesn't feel like they're really doing a good job. She understands they're like 16, I think, around 16, 15, 16, 17, somewhere in that range. And she said that she understands they're supposed to be like awkward, but they all just feel really awkward, she said, like constantly. Just the acting, everything. I don't know. Like I said, I do really like the visual aspect of it. We'll see where it goes, but right now it's not really hitting for me. It's not really my cup of tea, my kind of thing. I like a little more darker stuff. That's probably why I liked Moon Knight for the most part. So I don't know how you feel about it.
We're just getting older and more jaded, so it's just not hitting the same.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, you know how, like, okay, I'm trying to think of like a teenage show. You caught me at a right time with Teen Wolf one time, but I don't even think I finished that. I watched a couple seasons and then I was done. Or maybe I was caught up and there's just more come out and I didn't watch anymore.
Feel that. That's fair. So, I mean, I think we feel pretty similar. I mean, not with like Mrs. Sin. She thinks it's Booba Shoes, which I think is hilarious, by the way. I don't think that the show is Booba Shoes. I think that the show is good. To be honest, I think it's filmed well. I think the acting is fine.
Okay, that's another thing. Sorry. Cinematography, I like that. That was my other positive there. I knew I was forgetting something. Cinematography and then like the effects. Sorry. Didn't mean to.
No, that's fair. No, that totally makes sense. I get you. Like I said, I think I was going to mention this last week, or maybe I did. I don't remember. But I think that it's shot well. I think the cinematography is cool. I think that it's really quirky. It's absolutely a show for adolescent teens. Like Kamala is, what is she, a freshman, I believe?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, like the show is clearly made for young women. And I think that it's done very well. I love the fact that they actually speak the language. I love the fact that they show you what it's like to be in a Muslim household. I really, really like that. All of that just reigns in for me. I love seeing the representation. However, when I say it's not for me, I don't mean it's not for me because it's for girls, because I don't think a show is for girls or for boys. I think that the show's target audience definitely is people that identify as women, especially if you're on the younger side. But the reason why it doesn't really hit home for me is because the changes that they've made with her character are. I'm a huge comic book snob, right? So like when I see shows and movies and whatnot where they change a whole lot about the character's backstory, it bothers me unless it's changed to for a purpose. Like for an example. In The Boys, a lot of the characters' backstories are similar, but they're definitely changed. The powers are similar, but they're changed. But it's to serve a purpose, because some of the things in the comic book you can't do on the show because, for reasons we'll get into at some other point. But with Miss Marvel, there are no Inhumans in this universe yet, so she's not an Inhuman. She has a Bengal that, if you're a comic book fan, and I mean an old school comic book fan, those just seem to be the Negabands from the Shi'ar, or not the Shi'ar, I'm sorry, the Kree. So it's from the Kree. It seems like her family's got Kree DNA, and that's how she can use the Bengals. And I also believe that her mom knows something about it and knows what could happen. That's why she always acts like that when they bring up her great grandmother or whatever. So all those things kind of make sense to me. And like I said, I think it's done really well. I will continue to watch the show. I'm just not the target audience. That's really,
I think if we were 20 years younger or so, 15, 20 years younger, it would hit us more. I think we would be more into it.
And if I were in high school, so yeah, you're correct. If I were in high school or just getting out of high school or getting ready to go to high school, this would hit harder for me.
Yeah.
If it were darker, it would hit harder for me. But I mean, Not every story about superheroes needs to be dark, so I totally get it. I think this show is necessary. I think this is absolutely necessary. I think that
this show's not targeted for us in general.
Yeah. I think if you, like I said before, if you identify as a young woman, this show is targeted for you, and it makes sense. Like I said, I think the acting and everything is good. I think the girl that got to play Kamala is fantastic. The guy that's playing Bruno is killing it right now.
I like Bruno. I think Bruno's my favorite character.
Yeah, but that's the other thing too. Bruno is pretty different from his comic book counterpart as well. You know what I mean? So like, it's just seeing those changes are just kind of weird to me. Like I said, it serves a purpose. It makes sense. It's just not the changes that I would have made. Um, at this, but like, it's kind. I feel the same way I felt with all the other Marvel centric shows that are on Disney Plus. They start off really slow and you don't get much, and then you get to like episode 4 or 5, and then something happens, and then episode 6 they just kind of wrap it all up and then tease you for another season or another show in general. So I mean, I think that 2 episodes down the line I'm going to be like, yeah, this is great, because I'll have time to see more action in the show, which is what I'm looking forward to. But right now, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of doors that they're opening for storylines I'm just not really privy to. I just don't really care too much about. Um, but with all that said, like I said before, I think the show is necessary. I think it's good. I think it's well acted. I think it's well cast. I think that the cinematography is fantastic. It's not for me, but it's good. And the people who it is for, I'm sure they're having a ball with it. And I really hope that it continues to do well. And I love the end credit scenes, by the way. And the music is fantastic.
Music's
Love the
good.
music in the show. I forgot to bring that
Music
up.
is
All the
good.
music that they have in the show is fantastic. I love it. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Miss Marvel. I'm hoping that next week we get more. They introduced the Cameron character from the comics, and I mean, if you've read the comics, then you know that he's a villainous character, but more so. His family are the villains. His mother, in particular, like they're the villains, not necessarily him. He's just kind of roped into it. So we'll see. And Kamala has absolutely like dated around in the Marvel comic universe. One of her most notable relationships was with Miles Morales. So hopefully we'll get an Easter egg to Miles in this. That's what I'm looking forward to the most. But
Ooh.
with that said,
See,
move
okay, now
on.
that will pique my interest to make me keep watching just for a potential Miles. I would like to see Miles. I'd like to see who they cast as Miles.
Absolutely, I would love to see that too, man. I highly doubt that we're gonna get any Easter eggs for him in this show.
Because they hate us.
But yeah, man. I mean, we didn't get a Werewolf by Night
We're not talking
in
about that. I'm
Moon
still
Knight. So
mad. I'm mad at you. I'm mad at Disney. I'm mad at everybody about that.
why are you mad at me? I didn't do
Because
it.
you got my hopes up. You put it.
They got
It
my
was like
hopes up.
Inception.
They
You
did the
put
supposed to.
Werewolf by Night in my brain. And so Moon Knight, I'm like, I'm enjoying Moon Knight. This is cool. I'm learning about it. Werewolf by Night. Werewolf by Night. Like in the back of my head, that's what I'm waiting on. And then the show ends and I didn't get Werewolf by Night. And I was like, It hurt me.
Feel that. That's fair. That's fair.
All right, I got a quick question. Since you've watched all the Marvel series and I have not because I suck, if you were to do a quick ranking of the Disney Plus Marvel series, which would be what, like WandaVision, Loki, yeah, and all them, how would you rank them real quick?
Um, Number 1 is Loki, 100%.
Okay.
Number 2 is WandaVision.
Okay.
Number 3, I'm trying to keep all the shows together. It's Loki, WandaVision, then Moon Knight, then uh, Captain America, Winter Soldier,
Is that what that
and
Soldier
then
Falcon or whatever? Winter Soldier Falcon?
yeah,
Or something?
Falcon, Winter Soldier. Sorry,
There we
Falcon,
go.
Winter
Yeah.
Soldier.
It's combo, right? It's them two.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, and then Miss Marvel. I believe those are all the shows so far. So yeah, that'd be my order.
Okay.
I wanted to like Falcon and Winter Soldier the most, but like, I mean, honestly, it had the most action out of any of the shows, which is what I wanted, but the story was kind of weak compared to all the other things. So Loki is definitely the best. I think that they put the most time, the most effort into Loki. WandaVision was a close second. It started off really slow and it lost a lot of people with those first 2 episodes, but it was fantastic and it ended well, and I love that. And that also went directly into Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness. So that was great. Um, but Loki's still my favorite. Loki's definitely the best one. My least favorite is Miss because it's bad, just because I don't care for the story as much. And I mean, honestly, Falcon and Winter Soldier might end up being my least favorite, depending on how Miss Marvel wraps up. But we'll see.
Gotcha. How old is Miles Morales? Is he 16? He's in high school, right?
Uh,
He's young.
so Yeah, in the comics, he's not even in high school yet when the story starts. He goes to this like new preparatory school that you have to, it's like for super talented smart kids that he goes to. That's when he gets bitten initially, so he's like 13, I want to say. And then we kind of watch him age as the story goes on. He's in high school now, and trying to balance his life for sure. But when we meet Miles, he's a preteen. He is
Oh
young.
wow. Okay. Gotcha.
Is Miles your favorite Spider-Man, or is it Peter?
I'm gonna say Peter right now because I know Miles partially, but I've grown up with Peter and I know more about Peter. Like I feel like I'm more connected to him right now. I could change. I'm open minded to it. I did so. The most Miles I've encountered would be Into the Spider-Verse, and I love that. I think that was fantastic.
That's fair. Yeah, that was a really good.
I definitely want more Miles stuff because I would like to know more about him, for sure.
That makes a lot of sense. I loved all of the stuff that we get with Miles in Into the Spider-Verse for sure. However, I think so. So Peter's my favorite Spider-Man, and that's because, like you said, I have the most with Peter. Miles is definitely a close second, though. I love Miles. I love his
Is there
story.
a third? Who would be?
Third choice? Yeah, Ben Reilly for sure.
Oh yeah, okay. That was in Where did I see Ben Reilly? There's something I watched that talks about Ben Reilly, which is like a clone or something of Peter Parker, right? Or not a clone, but it's like a different dimension.
Oh no, you had it right. He's a clone.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. So I didn't realize there was a whole storyline with him.
Yeah, he. So in the '90s, he had a super long running story, which was the Clone Saga, that got really discombobulated and it ran on way too long. So that happened for sure. And then after that, he kind of popped. He just recently popped back up in the comics. He pops in and out. A couple of Spider clones. There's Scarlet Spider. There's Ben Reilly, who's the most popular. But yeah,
Scarlet
there's
Spider
a lot,
is
man.
Ben Reilly, right?
No, Scarlet Spider. His name is Kane. Like that's a whole nother.
It's
Clone that we
Kane.
could talk about. But speaking of Kane, the wrestler, real quick, I just wanted to say that I found out just not too long ago that for WWE fans, Vince McMahon actually is under investigation right now because apparently he had been paying out hella money, hush money. I think it was $3 million. I want to say he was paying that out to a paralegal that he was having an affair with, apparently, and he's being investigated. Which is not good for the WWE.
Wow.
So yeah, man, he reportedly paid up to $3 million to his paralegal to for hush money. They hired in a new younger than him. I think the woman is 41. But yeah, he was apparently seeing this woman on the side and paid $3 million in hush money to make that go away, and it's coming out. So we'll see how that story unfolds later. It does suck, man. Like, I'm not surprised though, like at all, because half of the storylines that Vince McMahon is a part of when it comes to the WWE and even when it was WWF were all practically that same thing. Treating women like crap, doing bra and panties matches, making them do like mud wrestling and stuff. Like everybody who loves Trish Stratus, like that are our age, like we love Trish Stratus because like the stuff that she did, unfortunately for us, when we were young impressionable boys trying to act as men, we're watching WWF at the time and then and yeah, man, that she did a lot for us, and she deserves all the money that she has because she went through some crap just to wrestle in WWE. And now the women's division in WWE is way better. It's still not the best, but it's way better. And speaking of the women's edition, or wrestling edition, I just wanted to say, like, one of the reasons why I didn't want Becky Lynch to lose her title belt to Bianca Belair is because I knew once Becky lost, they weren't going to have anything else to do with her, and they were just going to like job her out and then give her some really terrible stories and blah blah blah, which is what's happening right now. She's like in the running to be the champion for the 24/7 belt. Like, that's trash. How dare you treat Becky Lynch that way? But that's all I wanted to say about the WWE. I just found that news out, so I wanted to say that real quick. And
breaking
we will
news.
Get on to
Breaking news.
Breaking news.
Oh my god.
But the next show we want to talk about is Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan, and this would be what we predicted to be the strongest episode, right? Didn't we say that last week?
Absolutely.
That we thought this would be the best one, probably?
We sure did.
Going based on the formula?
Yeah, based on the Disney formula, man. Episode 5 out of 6 is usually the best one. That is absolutely the case so far with Obi-Wan. I will get into my thoughts on Obi-Wan right after you. I'm going to hold my thoughts. I'm going to let you go first.
Okay, so I've been thinking a lot about Obi-Wan. And kind of like what you said has kind of been resonating with me. Do I think this show is really good, or is it just nostalgia? I will say I think the show is good, but I feel what's making the show good for me at the moment is literally how they're putting Vader in the show. Anakin Skywalker, Vader portions are literally what's like really pumping up an episode for me. Whenever I see him do badass stuff and just be Vader and super strong or anything, that alone is making episodes for me. The nostalgia of Obi-Wan being there is really cool. I do wish that the story... I feel like to be the main character, he's not the main focus of the story. And that's kind of like what I've been getting for these episodes. I wish Obi-Wan was doing more and there was more on Obi-Wan. I get what they're doing with the third sister and then with Leia, all that stuff. And it's cool. It's definitely cool, but like last episode, there's stuff that's pretty forgettable. And I wish there was more cool stuff with Obi-Wan to really like bring it in. But this episode alone, Vader just made the episode for me. Vader's parts in this episode are phenomenal. Was it he grabs a ship out of the air, pulls that thing down like it's nothing, and then just starts ripping it apart like a beast. I mean, this dude... oh my god, he's so strong. And I will down the hill that if Obi-Wan obviously does not fight him in this episode. Obi-Wan escapes. They use a decoy. If Obi-Wan was to actually square off against Vader and they actually went at it, Obi-Wan would lose. There's no chance in hell he could beat Vader at that period in time. No shot. You cannot tell me Obi-Wan would win. What?
Say that again?
Obi-Wan would not win if he fought Vader in that period in time. If they squared off one-on-one, you cannot tell me Obi-Wan would beat him. Christian's thinking about it. There is no chance in hell. That dude just pulled a ship from the sky. Obi-Wan was doing good to hold back water. No shot. It's not happening.
So I can't disagree with you on this because, I mean, Obi-Wan barely has his connection back with the
exactly.
Force, right? The biggest show of strength that we've seen him accomplish so far was pushing Reva once she, blasted her lightsaber through the blast doors or whatever.
He's weak because he hasn't been practicing daily, where Vader's been just slaughtering everything in his path that he wants to, and pretty much
never stops practicing. But you also got to remember too, like that's a great. If for the fans of this show who are paying attention to the little things, Vader is so strong because he has to be, right? Like he's a Sith, right? So a Sith Lord at that. So there's only 2 Sith Lords at all times, right? You got Palpatine, which is the Emperor, and then you got Vader. Vader's entire existence revolves around him being strong enough to kill the Emperor. Then he is the main Sith Lord. He will eventually take on an apprentice, and then that apprentice will one day eventually get strong enough to take Vader out. Like that is the point of the Sith. That's how they exist. So he never stops because he has not only Obi-Wan on his mind, not only Padme on his mind, and trying to banish the Anakin portion of himself, but he also has Palpatine to contend with. Like Vader's life sucks, honestly. He's constantly being beaten down by Palpatine every time he doesn't do something Palpatine wants or fails a mission or whatever. Vader's getting punished for that constantly. So that's why he's so strong, because he has to be. He's constantly training. And he knows that he'll never be as strong as he was meant to be when he had a physical human body, because now that he's mostly cyborg or whatever. He's mostly robotic. He can't use his body the way that he could. That's why he's not as agile. That's why he can't look so
stiff.
flashy with a lightsaber like he used to. Exactly. All that armor is really heavy. He doesn't have the mobility. He can still move around for sure, but he's not anywhere close to the Anakin that he used to be when he was just Anakin. So yeah, man. I agree with you on that. 100%.
Okay. We saw the twist with the third sister. Like you said, she was a youngling spinning around. Spoilers. If you don't want to hear this part, just fast forward like 10 minutes or whatever, and you should be good to go. She turns on Vader. You saw that coming because Anakin come through and doing Order 66 and killed the younglings, doing all that. She survived. Saw that coming. Pretty much you said that from like the first episode that was going to happen, and it was pretty obvious that she would turn. Like I said, we said before in a previous one, she was conflicted. You could see her fighting the urges and stuff like that. They did kind of clarify one of the things I know you were complaining a lot about people knowing Anakin Skywalker is Darth Vader. She kind of clarified how she knew. So I feel like they tried to fix that because I know that was bothering you. Hopefully that cleared it up for you a little bit. We'll see what you think in a minute. Trying to think what else. The Vader stuff alone had me hyped. That made me love the episode. Like, all the stuff he was doing was cool. I like the fact that we're seeing how strong he is with the Force, which is always cool, and how, fighting how superior he is. But then also the mind games, like his mental aspect. He knew she was going to turn. He knew like all the stuff kind of she would do. And he had the other Grand Inquisitor there. Like he was playing chess when she was playing checkers, essentially. And it was really cool to see that not only is this dude like physically dominating, but mentally he's super sharp and dominating as well. I thought the throwback to, I guess it would have been episode 2, Hayden Christensen and Obi-Wan all was cool. You could definitely tell that they didn't CGI him. At least I don't think so. That they just, try to use makeup and stuff like that to make him look as young as possible or closer to that age range. But when certain camera angles, you could definitely tell that, Anakin had aged and he was definitely older than and vice versa. But I still like that. I really like that flashback. I liked seeing him as Anakin Skywalker again. I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I liked it. By far my favorite episode of the series so far.
So with what you were just saying, with the reveal, the with Reva, like, yeah, I knew that was coming, saw that coming. Did it satisfy me? No, it didn't, because it was really lackluster, because one, we already knew it was going to happen, and two, because that's not really something that you could give me that's going to be satisfying. But like, was it enough? Yeah, sure, it was enough.
Are you talking about the knowing Anakin, like how she knew that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, how she knew Anakin, the confession, all that. Like, yeah, sure. I'll agree with that. What I can say with that as well is, I'm glad that they went ahead and did that, so that we're not worried about that anymore. Like, I don't have that in the back of my head anymore, because now it's, it's done, it's over with. So that's really good for me. The other thing is, her fight with Vader was fantastic. Like, yeah. I don't know any other Star Wars character that sidesteps a lightsaber the way that Vader just did. Like a straight anime character, sidestepping, getting out of the way, using the Force. He didn't even use a saber most of the fight. He took her saber from her, broke it into 2 sabers, gave her one so that she could finish the fight fair. She still couldn't do anything. He was toying with it, just like he was toying with Obi-Wan. And then stabs her at the end, which obviously she's going to live through that, because every time somebody just gets stabbed the one time with a saber, they end up living. Or if they get a hand or arm cut off, they live. You got to cut somebody in half, or at least stab them more than once before they're
you pull some Highlander stuff and cut their head off, absorb their power.
Right. There can only be one. But that's the kind of thing I'm thinking of. Like, so really love the fight. I really love seeing his show of force, his show of power. busted through there. That was the fastest, first of all, I've ever seen Vader walk in my life. So him walking that fast to ask where Obi-Wan was, her betraying him right after he just lost Obi-Wan again. He pulled that ship out of the air, pulled it down. But luckily, for them, they left on the escape pod. They all got off and tricked them and all that. And that was cool. But Vader's been playing the long game for like 10 years, right? And that's showing you that with the flashbacks with Hayden Christensen, which I love, by the way, the flashbacks are just pretty much saying how Anakin doesn't learn. He's too brash. He's too rash. He does all this and he doesn't, think about the consequences of his actions. He's always trying to just win, win, win. But this shows you that, he listened to his master. He does play the long game. He's been playing this game with Reva for years. He's known Obi-Wan's been out there for years, and he did everything in his power to find him, which he finally did. Once that happens, all this other stuff goes down. Like, I'm just saying there's a lot of growth in his character that I really enjoyed seeing. And with that said, I just really, really liked the fact that we finally got to see Vader do something else that was cool, because there's definitely a way to give us too much Vader, for sure, but they kind of hit that line perfectly in this, and I just really enjoyed what I was seeing this week. The story was intense. The only kind of dud I guess we had was the story with what's her Leia's little droid. Like, she put a tracker on the droid is what she said, but this tracker also I just dropped my bottle here, I gotta pick that up. But she her tracker turns the droid, I guess, evil. It has a red glowing eye now instead of blue, and it like zaps the doors shut so they can't get out. But Leia just plugs something in, and then the doors open back up. So I was just kind of like, I'm not really buying that.
More the quirky
that was
Leia writing too.
Yeah, man, I really just don't enjoy the Leia writing for this, But anyway, barring that aside, like I really did enjoy the rest of the episode. I thought it was cool, and I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna be completely honest with everybody listening right now. Next week's episode, it's not gonna be that great to me. I want to be wrong. I want it to be fantastic. I want to see this episode. I want to be blown away. I want the ending to be awesome. I want them to pay off teasing Luke. I want all that to be the thing. I want him to have a rematch with Vader and it be nice and believable, because
I don't think he does.
way that. But that's the thing. Like, that's what they've been teasing us, right? And they're showing us that stuff, but I just don't see it going the way that I want it to go in my head. But headcanon's always going to be better, right?
Yeah.
So with that said, man, I'm just hoping that this last episode is good. I'm not expecting it to be great. I just don't want it to be trash. I don't want all this stuff to come up for no reason. And we'll see. I'm just going to, hold out hope that it's going to be fine. And as long as it doesn't suck, we're cool. But this episode gave me what I wanted. It gave me Vader. It gave me him doing stuff. It gave me a fight that I wanted to see. It gave me an answer to a question I had since the second episode, which was, how does she know that he's Anakin? Also, how does nobody else know this if she's just yelling it, like in episode 2, yelling it for the world to hear? He'll find you, blah, 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 like all that stuff. But with that said, though, man, a lot of questions got answered. The answers weren't the best in the world, but whatever, who cares? I'm just glad that we got what we got, and I enjoyed it. And man, that's essentially my thoughts on Obi-Wan, man. This was a great episode. It's the best one of the season. I'm pretty sure it's going to be the best one we get.
I agree.
And this will be the episode that people are talking about later on when they start talking about this show once it's over.
So you liked they didn't really use CGI for the aging on their faces like they've done in the past?
Yeah, I mean, there was really no need. Hayden Christensen is still pretty young looking. And I mean, there was really no way to successfully make him look like he looked, over 10
I liked
years
it.
ago.
I liked what they did. I'm more for that than them doing, some stuff and trying to like superimpose his face from the old one and do, I don't know, whatever they would do. I like what they did personally.
Hey man, they didn't need to do any de-aging stuff on him. And then for Obi-Wan, I mean, he just looks the age that they wanted him to look when they made the other movies anyway. So he looks great still. So yeah, man, I'm glad that they just used regular makeup on Hayden Christensen. I'm glad that they justified bringing him back. I'm glad that he was in the show. I know that he has a lot of haters. I still hate on him too because I'll never forget episode 2 and that whole monologue with the sand dude. That was trash, and I'll die on that hill. But with that said, I really enjoyed seeing him back. He deserved this. We deserve this as fans.
I think they've knocked out of the park
So
with Vader in this show.
yeah, absolutely.
With Hayden Christensen coming back, and then James Earl Jones is a voice. I think, and then how they used him across the series so far. I think it's been perfect.
Yeah, I love it. I loved it. So I hope that it stays that way.
So I have a quick question. I'm gonna pitch it to you real briefly. Mrs. Sim brought this up at the end of the episode because they kind of tease Luke again. They show Luke. She said, "Do you think?" She's like, "So is season 2 going to be about Luke? How season 1 was about Leia?" And I was like, "I don't think so. I don't think they'll go after anymore because I don't really know what you do with the story." But I could be wrong.
So realistically, like we didn't really need this show, right, to begin with.
Yeah.
But we all wanted to, we knew that they had to have fought again at some point. So that was cool to see. Leia being in the show is easier to make sense of because she has knowledge of Obi-Wan when we see her for the first time in episode 6 or 4, excuse me. So that makes more sense. But realistically, like, I don't think there's going to be a season 2. I think this was a one and done. I think that they're just going to do spin-off shows for the universe. Like, we're going to get the Ahsoka show. We're going to get other stuff. Like, I think that makes way more sense. I much rather see a show about Ahsoka than another season of Obi-Wan not being cool. Like, just to be honest.
Okay.
And I'd much rather see a show where a live action fight between Ahsoka and Vader. Like, are you kidding me? Absolutely. I would love to see that. But that makes way more sense to me than another season of Obi-Wan. I think that they're going to pay off this whole Luke teaser in the next episode next week on the finale. I think that it's going to be a one and done. I think that's over. But it's a talking point, right? It's got you talking, it's got me talking, it's got Miss Sin talking. So like that's the whole point of it, is to get people talking and buzzing about it because that's how they make more money.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that after Obi-Wan concludes next week with the season finale, it's probably going to double as a series finale. And if they make another season of Obi-Wan, I would be incredibly surprised because what else is there to tell us about Obi-Wan? Like, I really don't care to see him. I really don't care to see old man Ben like in a hut watching Luke, just creeping on Luke until he's old enough to get trained. And then them just kind of them retelling the story of how he trained Luke for like 15 minutes. Like, I don't think that'll be that. I don't think there's enough there for them to make that an enjoyable series. So I think this is going to be it.
Okay. All right. Well, that moves us on to, I guess, our last segment before we wrap it up, and that would be the boys. So
the boys?
The what?
The boys.
The boys. But we'll keep it pretty brief. We won't go too crazy onto it because we've kind of running things a little long. But I mean, we'll keep it brief for you guys. We got how many episodes to talk about briefly? 2. Where did you say we were at? I forgot.
We're 4 episodes in at this point.
Okay, so we got 3 episodes. God. Okay, well, we'll talk about at least 2. I don't know. We'll just wing it. We'll go for it. All right, do you want to lead off and go?
I can, sure. So with this show, man, Jesus, what can I say that hasn't been said? Look, I'm just going to start hopping into things like, can we talk about Termite? Can we just literally start talking about Termite? Dude, this guy, so Termite is a parody of Ant-Man, right? So I'm assuming everybody listening to this has seen all the episodes of The Boys leading up to what I'm talking about.
If not, skip ahead.
Yeah, you know what? Don't skip ahead because what I'm telling you, you're not gonna believe. You have to see it, so you're gonna want to see it anyway. So I'm gonna tell you. But with that said, dude, oh my God, Termite is a parody of Ant-Man. He can get real small, and do things that a little ant person could do, or termite person could do. But so this character he's super high on coke, right? He's blasted on coke. They're at this crazy party where he's like banging this Barbie doll in his little size, and then his boyfriend's like, "I want you inside me" or whatever. And I was like, "Oh my god, I already know where this is going." Dude takes his pants down, termite shrinks down and goes into his just runs into his pee hole, dude, and just starts like massaging his junk like from the inside. But if you remember, he's been doing coke and he's been sneezing. So termite termite's doing he's doing his thing, dude, and he sneezes and returns to his normal size, exploding through the peen of his lover, bro, and kills him. There's blood and guts everywhere, and he freaks out. And when that happens, Frenchie walks in and he's like, "Oh my god, I didn't see anything. I'm gonna go." So like after that, he's like, "You can't leave." He turns really small and starts beating the hell out of Frenchie, and then he starts beating the hell out of Kimiko. And then Butcher comes in clutch and traps him while he's in his termite size in a bag of coke and just shakes him up. So he's like essentially ODing on this coke, bro. And it's hilarious. And then when he catches him, of course, he has to say like a stupid, cheesy 90s action line. And he's just like, "Want a bump?" And like, dude, I lost it. I laughed so hard when that happened after the shock left my body. I had to, dude, I was, that messed me up. I was cracking up, man. But, yeah, dude, that like, I had to start off and talk about that. What are your thoughts, by the way, on that?
I mean, I think we were talking about shows that target certain groups. This definitely targets me. There's no doubt about it. Like how dark and just over the top this show is just right up my alley. Where Mrs. Marvel didn't hit for me, The Boys hits, because every episode it's kind of like Shameless, where you'll watch episode, you're like, wow, that's really screwed up, and then the next episode it'll almost top it, or they'll always find a way to one up it, and you're just like, oh my god, what else could possibly happen? Oh, let's just send an Ant-Man sized guy into a dude's wiener and then explode as he gets full grown again. And then get shook up in a bag of coke. Like, the show is over the top, but it's fantastic. I absolutely love it. I look forward to Fridays. I think the first episodes have been pretty good. I am waiting with bated breath for Homelander to fully snap. We get tiny little pieces, but I want it so bad. And there's something very wrong with me because I really, really want it. I think Anthony Starr is doing a great job as Homelander. I hope he's fairly accurate to the comics because I actually really like what he's doing with him. You hate him. You cannot not hate Homelander. He is the biggest piece of garbage ever. But at the same time, I'm glued to him. Like, I'm infatuated with him. So I'm like, what is he going to do next? What will Homelander do? When is he going to snap? He'll just show up in people's houses and they'll like, "Oh, how'd you get in?" "Oh, I just let myself in. I have a key." Like, he'll just
I have a key.
It.
That's crazy.
God. I want to jump ahead episodes real quick because it's fresh. Like, it's not fresh on my mind, but I'm thinking about it. What about what is that dude's name? It was Annie's supersonic sound or whatever.
Yeah.
What's his name?
No, it's supersonic. You got it right.
Okay, we never got to see that dude's power. Or at least I have no clue what the hell he could do. That dude got jacked up. I
think that's kind of the point, that we didn't get to see him do anything, right? Because like, there's so many other characters that we care about, like Soldier Boy, Butcher, who's spoiler alert, on temporary V right now. Like, it's so many things going on. So many things.
So, I mean, I figured he would die. Supersonic. You kind of saw, I didn't see him being a long stead in the show. I kind of expected him to die. But damn, they killed him pretty quick and pretty brutally. Like, well, you don't really see, spoiler, him get killed. You just see the aftermath of Homelander doing what Homelander does. And it's pretty messy.
Pretty Homelandy, right?
Yeah. Oh, God, okay, if Superman was more like Homelander, I would like Superman more. Just saying.
That's fair.
I mean, would you not?
So, my favorite Superman stories are always the evil,
Injustice, stuff like that.
Timeline. Superman story. So yes, I agree with you. And Superman is not one of my favorite heroes because of essentially that reason. So yes,
He's so Boy Scout. We'll get him like squeaky clean. So seeing a very evil version of Superman-ish style character, Homelander is essentially, those that don't know, Homelander is essentially Superman. Literally, it's like he's a god, pretty much. Like, you put Superman, and then instead of his red cape, you give him like an American flag, and that's Homelander, and blonde hair.
I don't know if you've noticed this, and I know I'm jumping around a bit, but Homelander is so arrogant, so full of himself, so strong. Essentially, he can't fight. He can't. So if you watch when he's in fights or whatever, he's always just flying and lasering people. He never actually fights anyone. He's never thrown a punch. He's never kicked anyone. He's probably pushed a few people for sure, but he usually just lasers people. So that's just letting me know that he never took the time to learn how to fight at all. He's doing other things. So that's just one of the things that I just enjoy about his character, that little details like that. But I'll tell you what, man.
So one more thing on Homelander. Have you noticed he's short?
Yeah, I noticed that in
comparison to like everyone else. He's not like Superman. Kind of towers over people, I believe. He's a bigger guy. Homelander's like the opposite. He's kind of I feel like he might even be the shorter. He may be the shortest member in the 7. So I feel like the Deep's taller than him, but maybe not.
I mean, the shortest male in the 7.
Well, I mean, even what's her name? What's the Wonder Woman character?
Maeve.
Yeah, Maeve. I feel like she's taller than him, isn't she?
I mean, I haven't really been paying that much attention to them when they're standing next to each other, to be honest. So I don't know.
Well, he may have her by a little bit, but I mean, he's not towering over anybody. He's not like the biggest by far.
I mean, in the comics, he's definitely taller for sure.
It may just be the casting. I don't know how tall Anthony Starr is, actually.
That's a good question.
5'11". So he's because I feel like, well, Butcher's 6'1". I don't know. Okay, I just kind of noticed it, and I always thought it was kind of funny that he has like, he's Superman, but he's not. I don't know. He just doesn't seem as tall as some of the others. So, God, dude, there's so much to talk about this show. Literally. So you briefly talked about Butcher took temporary V, which gives him superpowers for 24 hours. And from what we've seen in these episodes, I think he's pretty much the equivalent to Homelander. He has eye lasers. He is bulletproof. He gets shot and bullets bounce off of him. He's apparently super strong. And I think that's about it. I don't think he can fly, or at least we haven't seen him fly yet.
Well, I mean, if you were paying attention, he only had 3 vials of the Temp V. Mm-hmm. He used one to kill.
Is he using a whole one though? Because I almost feel like he only used a partial.
Well, he only had 1 vial left in episode 4, and we know because of the end of that episode that he no longer has that vial.
Okay.
So, yeah, with Butcher, like, I'll tell you what. Let me back up a little bit before I talk about Butcher. I need to talk about the actual villain of the show, the person who's scarier than Homelander with all his power. That is Stan Edgar, dude. Like, I just talked earlier about watching Breaking Bad with Gus and how cool of a villain he is. Imagine Gus, but instead of, selling you chicken, he's selling you pharmaceuticals. It's the same character essentially, but it's that much more intense. And him having a scene with Homelander, all they did was talk. And that was the most tense scene of all the episodes in The Boys that I've seen so far. It was fantastic. Tell me your thoughts on that. I loved it.
It was great. The fact that this dude has 0 powers. 0. And Homelander could go out there and probably thump him in the head and decapitate him or something. But yet, Homelander doesn't even flinch towards him. Like, just by him talking and demeaning Homelander, just running him down, telling him he wants his approval and all that, he has Homelander in the palm of his hand, whether Homelander wants to admit it or not. It's wonderful.
He does. He does. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's something that I really love to see, man. I just enjoy. I can't talk highly enough, man. Stan Edgar is a fantastic character. I'm so glad that he's casted by the person that he is now. I love it, dude. But something else, all the stuff that was happening with the head popper. What was her name? Victoria Newman.
Yeah,
Vicky Newman. Like, I love that she like turncoats on Edgar, on Stan Edgar. But he's just so unfazed by it. He's like, I taught her to play all sides, and that's exactly what she's doing. And then I love that when Homelander is talking to her, like, yeah, you should have paid more attention to her. You should have done this. You should have done that. And then Stan Edgar is just like, isn't that what you're doing right now? Looking to me for approval as if I were your daddy? And I was just like, oh God. Like, I
think because he stays so calm, the tone of his voice never fluctuates. Like, even if he's pissed or anything, he's still very, I don't know. And it is very authoritative, like how he just talks to you. I love it. Like, that whole thing. It's perfect. It was so good.
It's fantastic.
So I want to jump now. I'm gonna jump away from that for a second. So I was very curious because you kind of saw it coming that Huey would also try the Temp V, because Huey has been, while he can do things like help planning and stuff like that, when it comes to the physical side, he has no shot. Like, he's not going to do anything against Homelander or any other soups. So you knew he was eventually going to get his hands on some just so he could feel that power. And I was very curious to see if his abilities were similar to Butcher's or if it varied on the person. I assumed it would vary on the person, and it does. To me, his powers, and Christian, you could tell me I'm completely wrong, I got a Nightcrawler feel from his powers. Because essentially he like teleported out of his clothes and then put his hand through somebody. But he was butt-ass naked. But the way he teleported, like the mist or whatever, gave me a Nightcrawler feel.
I think it's definitely meant to give you a Nightcrawler-esque kind of Quicksilver Flash kind of feel. Okay. Super quick, but also kind of teleporty. I think that was the point of that. I do enjoy that he either teleported or ran so fast that he came out of his clothes. I like it better being teleportation. That makes more sense to me.
Yeah.
But teleporting and punching through that guy and him being naked and, everybody seeing him do it.
When I thought it was Nightcrawler, like when I got that vibe, I got excited because I was like, dang, I'm excited to see some Nightcrawler abilities because I actually liked Nightcrawler. So I was like, okay, I can get behind this. This is pretty cool.
Okay. I mean, I felt practically the same. I really did enjoy that. And with that said, too, I really liked the fact that I can't even think now that I did laugh. He made a whole, so when they were, breaking into this facility in Russia, he kept making like jokes. Red Dawn, motherfucker. Rocky 4, motherfucker. Like, that was hilarious. And then they get in and they meet the hamster that has powers. I can't remember his name right now. God, what was his name?
I don't remember the hamster's name.
The hamster was from the comics for sure. It was played for laughs, and this was a little different, but he's definitely from the comics. And
that hamster straight up murked a person, though. That thing, God. I was not expecting to go in through the eye. Just
awesome. Fantastic, dude. I loved seeing that. And then once Huey kind of shows us that he's also taken this Temp V, and then Mother's Milk is just like, your dick's out. Like, dude, I'm not gonna lie, that broke the tension for me, and I started laughing. But it was like the perfect way to break the tension for me. I loved it. So I enjoyed seeing that. And then what was the other thing that I saw that I really so when during that scene, that's when we get the big Soldier Boy reveal. But right before we see Soldier Boy, nobody is disappointed to see Butcher taking the temp V. Like nobody seems they're like surprised by it, but they're not disappointed by it at all. But when they see that Huey has done it, they're all extremely disappointed.
I foresee Huey being addicted to it bad.
Well, that's kind of what he was told by Butcher. He said that you don't want any part of this. This is punishment. You know, I deserve this. He's obviously addicted to it, even though he says it's for last resort. But like he's never gone into a situation like that before and needed a last resort of Temp V. But it is addictive. That's why he didn't stop doing it. That's why he was okay with talking to Ryan the way that he did. All of those things. But like I said, when they saw Huey doing it, everybody was very disappointed, and even Mother's Milk was like, "You're better than this." So seeing that was just really cool. I really liked that dichotomy, and then they let you know that the team's about to break up again, and then we even had the death flag, essentially the red herring that what's his name? Frenchie and Kimiko were going to leave the group after this last mission, right? And then she tries to jump in front of Soldier Boy's blast. That's not from the comics, by the way. And he blasts Kimiko, and like her healing factor isn't taking place. And I think it's because this blast that he has kind of nullifies the powers of other enhanced super characters, right? Anybody else who has V in their system. So do I think that she's going to die? No. I think that they'll get her somewhere. I think that her healing factor will activate, in the nick of time, and she'll be saved. I do believe that'll happen. But that's their weapon for what's his name? Homelander. And I really like that. I think that's really cool. And also it's different. Because in the comics, like I'm not going to tell you why it's different. Essentially,
wait, what's the weapon for Homelander?
In the comic?
No, like what did you say was the weapon for Homelander?
Oh, it's Soldier Boy because he can shoot Homelander with that blast and take his powers away.
Oh, that takes your that's okay. So that's why. Okay, that makes sense. Gotcha. Following now. I thought it just like hit her so hard it knocked her out or something. I was like, I don't really know why she's not healing, but. Maybe she got hurt so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But it pretty much like voids out your powers.
Yeah, notice like Frenchie was saying during that why is she not healing? She's not healing.
Yeah, I knew she wasn't healing.
And that's because like I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. But Soldier Boy's blast that he emits out of his chest or wherever that is, I think it just kind of takes away the powers of somebody else or nullifies it or whatever.
And this is a new thing they added to him, right? Because that wasn't his original power. Because he was pretty much Captain America.
In the comics. They had a different way to fight Homelander in the comics, which I won't get into because I don't want to ruin that for anybody else right now. But we also, barring that, like I want to say it's the episode before that when he's talking to his when Butcher's essentially calling out what's her name? I can't remember her name, but their handler essentially.
Mm-hmm.
When he's calling her out, like she shows us that she used to run heroin or whatever for like lower income neighborhoods, for black neighborhoods essentially, and as long as it didn't get into white neighborhoods, which was a thing that happened in real life, which was cool. So that happened. And we saw that, and then we saw that their powers, the heroes showed up, and they made a mockery of the military essentially. And you had Swatto, I think was his name, which was the guy that had like the fly wings or whatever. He was doing his thing, and like we all knew that was a giant death flag waving, right? So I loved seeing all that. I loved seeing Black Noir without a mask on and how he was doing stuff back then, like all of that. That was really cool to see.
I still don't know his powers.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, his power, they kind of explained it to us. Like he has somewhat of a healing factor as well, obviously. And he's like, super strong and fast as well because he fought Kimiko in season 1, I believe. So he's just like a ninja, man. He's super capable. His powers are a little different
so he's Deadpool
in the comic, but I can't really get into those.
Okay. All right.
Like I said, it's a major spoiler, so I don't want to really talk too much about some of the characters and how they are in the comics because it definitely changes things.
So last thing,
man,
last thing I want to talk about on the boys. Soldier Boy. They've enhanced him to be able to do this, correct? He didn't have that when we saw him in the flashbacks.
From what I understand, no. Like, I don't know that. I don't know. It seems like that's a no. It seems like I'm sorry. It seems like yes. It seems like they've definitely worked on him. He was essentially Winter Soldier, right? They had him all set up in this, and he, kind of. They had him on ice, and they were using his blood to make a new V to try to make their own soldiers and stuff, kind of like Captain America and Winter Soldier and all that. He's like all that wrapped into one. He's like Captain America, but he got kidnapped just like Winter Soldier, and that's how they're using him. And that's why when he comes out of the chamber, he's immediately trying to kill anybody that's in his way. So that's what's happening, and I really enjoy seeing that. So. With that said, though, yeah, they definitely worked on him for sure. I don't know if he's always had that power. I don't know if it's a brand new power because we don't know a lot about Soldier Boy yet. We just saw him for the first time in that episode. But I'm super excited to see him in the other episodes and what happens. So I'm just ready.
Yeah, we get a new episode. Time of recording this, we'll get a new episode tomorrow. So next week we'll be able to dive further in. I'm sure we'll bounce around because there's literally so much shock and awe or just information in the show that we kind of are starting behind the 8 ball and we're kind of bouncing around a lot. But the show's awesome. Highly recommend it again. Go watch it. Amazon Prime. The Boys. This is the 3rd season, and it's good. It's really good. You have any last thoughts on it?
Boys, man. No, final thoughts on The Boys is this. If you, for some reason, haven't been watching The Boys, haven't seen The Boys, you're just doing yourself a disservice. Like, you're physically hurting yourself by not enjoying what we're talking about right now. So you absolutely should be watching this. You absolutely should try. Give it a shot. It's totally worth it. If you're somebody who's squeamish and doesn't like a lot of blood and gore and cussing and boobs or whatever, then sure, I can understand you not watching it. But if you don't mind a little blood and titty action, then absolutely watch the show. And I don't know why I keep saying boobs. Like, this show just has an abundance of nudity. It's more male nudity than anything else. Because we totally saw full peen with termites.
So we've also learned a life lesson. Don't let anything go up your wiener hole.
Dude,
bad things can only come from it.
I agree.
That's terrible. Terrible philosophy, but yeah. All right, so that's going to pretty much cover our topics for this week. Next week, we'll have the Obi-Wan finale. We'll probably discuss more on, I guess it'll be episode 3 of Ms. Marvel, as well as the next episode of The Boys. And we may even dive into some video games. We'll see. We'll see what next week holds for us. But we got jam-packed episode next week, as we did this week. If you're still listening at this point, we appreciate you. You're awesome. Thank you so much. But it is that time. It's the time where you...
Pass the whiskey.
That's right. Get them ready. Whiskey! For the last call, boys and girls. This week's last call comes from our legend on the inside, the one and only. He likes to give us questions, and we appreciate him for it. So, with that being said, his question for this week is, who was your idol or idols growing up? Christian, do you want to lead or?
I mean, yeah, sure, I can. Idols. So
it's tough.
Yeah. I mean, I had a couple of idols. Most of the idols I had aren't actual like real people. And that's just the way I grew up. But what I can say is a human person, like a real tangible person that I idolized when I was growing up. So one of my best friends, his name's Warren. His dad was a really cool guy. I really enjoyed the way that he spoke. I really enjoyed the way that he gave information. I really enjoyed the way that he kind of let people live their own life and do their own thing, but he liked to give advice. He reminded me a lot of Neil deGrasse Tyson. And he was definitely somebody that I idolized when I was younger, when I was growing up. That now that I'm an adult, I mean, that kind of just transfers to Neil deGrasse Tyson. I love Neil deGrasse Tyson. I think he's awesome. I would listen to him read the Bible if I could. And I'm not even a religious person, but I just like his voice. I think he's really cool and suave, and I like what he has to say. And he gives really good information. So if you care anything about, science and the universe and all that space, definitely listen to him. But with that said, when I was a kid, the biggest idol that I had, person that I idolized the most, was absolutely 100% Batman. And it's kind of an amalgamation of Batman characters that I idolized. Like you had the '89 Batman with Michael Keaton. You had the animated series, which was probably the biggest idol that I had because I like religiously watched that show growing up. It was everything to me.
Favorite episode
And
of
then
it?
I read favorite episode off the top of my head. That's really hard to say.
Just give me one. First episode comes to mind when we say that. Lightning
First episode
question.
that comes to my mind when I say it is Jesus. I can't remember the name of the episode, but it's an April Fool's episode. It's the one where Joker has this really smelly ship that has this gas on it, and the gas kind of makes everybody crazy and laugh, and they get affected by the Joker toxin essentially. And he has this clown with him, this robotic Terminator clown called Captain Clown. And that's the first episode that popped in my head because I love Captain Clown, and Batman kills Captain Clown, and I remember Joker being like, "You killed Captain Clown! You killed Captain Clown!" And I just remember like watching that as a kid, being like, "Oh my god, he killed Captain Clown! This is great." So that's the first episode that comes to my head when I think about Batman the animated series. But yeah, man, definitely 110% an idol of mine was Batman growing up. 100%, still is to this day.
Okay, it's a good idol. So I have a IRL one, and then I have, cause man, I bounced around a lot. So I have a musical one. Okay, I'll just go musical. I got my brother got me into Metallica and Ozzy and metal at an early age. So Kurt Hammett was always an idol for me growing up. I really looked up to him as far as like his playing and stuff, at an early age. Loved Metallica and all that. And that helped get me into that style of music. Obviously, idols have changed a little bit, as I've got older. Athletic, sports-wise, I would say I really liked Tom Glavine at a young age. I was a big Braves fan whenever I was little, Atlanta Braves, and I liked the pitcher Tom Glavine. A lot of other Braves players I really liked too, but for some reason, Tom Glavine, I gravitated towards him. And then Shawn Michaels was another big one in the sports category. We shared a birthday, and I don't know. I just always liked that he wasn't the biggest guy, not even close, but yet, I don't know. It didn't matter. He still could overcome the odds, and he was so athletic and just a good storyteller with it. I really liked Shawn, and of course Undertaker. And then an actual IRL idol would have been my grandfather. Was very close with him. A lot of good advice, a lot of stories, and just, time fishing, and just looked up to him and the way he handled himself as a person and everything. I did really respect him. So that would have been mine. At a young age, obviously there's various ones now. I'm sure Christian's the same that you look up to. Like musically, I would say like Vigil from Ghost Inside. I do look up to him a lot, and a lot of other musicians, and yeah. So there we go.
Man.
I kept mine with real people. I didn't go Batman. I thought about going Batman because I did watch a lot of Batman as a kid. So Michael Keaton was my Batman forever.
That's the difference, though, man. I didn't really have too many like real life adults or even kids really to look up to idolize when I was growing up, and that's why I'm so into the comic scene now. So I mean, growing up, it was I had my grandma that raised me, and I mean I can't say that I looked up to her. I respect her, but I didn't really look up to her because we didn't have a whole lot of things in common. So when I taught myself how to read, thanks to Batman comics and the animated series
and porno,
like that was the person that I would look to for things, the right thing, and Spider-Man, of course, as well.
Yeah.
But I will say there was a big difference between reading a Batman comic and the Spider-Man comic in the 90s because Batman was super dark and he's very, very smart, but in the 90s they kind of played up the action portion of Batman. But in the 90s, Spider-Man had the Clone Saga going on and Venom and symbiotes and stuff. And I'm telling you right now, man, being like a kid, 6, 7-year-old trying to figure out how to pronounce and what it means to be symbiotic and stuff, like that's not an easy word to teach yourself how to read.
Yeah.
So, I finally got there thanks to the dictionary and made it happen. So
I read a lot of X-Men comics growing up. I used to have a subscription where they would mail them to me.
That's cool, man. I read X-Men a lot. I didn't really collect too much. I really liked Wolverine.
Yeah.
I thought Cyclops' costume was cool. And
I liked Cyclops for a while until like I started realizing like I don't know, Cyclops is okay, and then I'll move to Wolverine, and then of course I like Nightcrawler and different ones, on out.
Yeah, Nightcrawler was pretty much everybody's favorite growing up for me, and then I was like one of the only people that like Wolverine. But since Hugh Jackman, like now Wolverine's like everybody's favorite X-Men. And I'm, now when I say Wolverine's my favorite, people are like, oh, of course. I'm just like, no, he was my favorite since like 1993 or 4. Like, fuck
Wolverine
off.
was like Raphael on Ninja Turtles, like just the attitude.
Raphael's my favorite turtle. Wolverine's my favorite X-Men. Like, there's
Raphael was always my favorite turtle, also.
There you go. That's the best one for sure. A lot of people say it used to be Leonardo was everybody's favorite. Now everybody's favorite seems to be Donatello, and I'm just like, okay. Donatello was never my favorite turtle, but I don't dislike any of the turtles. So whatever. But that's a topic for another day. We're wrapping up. We'll talk about turtles another time if you guys want to hear it.
Yeah, for sure. There's a new turtle game coming out that I'm gonna hopefully be playing tomorrow morning. So
actually out now.
Yeah. I'm excited to play it.
I almost bought it, but I didn't. I ended up getting something else instead.
Leisure Suit Larry, got it.
No, I bought my God, it comes back full circle in it. I ended up getting Fire Emblem. That's what I ended up getting.
What? Did you say you got Fireman?
No, Fire Emblem. The
Fire
JRPG
Emblem.
game.
I heard Fireman, and I was like, all I'm picturing is you're like a shirtless fireman sliding down a pole. I'm like, Christian, what the hell did you just buy?
Yep, that's what I bought. Shirtless fireman. You know me.
I mean, whatever floats your boat. Fire Emblem.
Yeah,
okay,
man.
that makes way more sense. Okay, following now. All right, but boys and girls, that's going to wrap up this episode of Sippin With Sin. We appreciate you listening again. Thank you for being here each and every week. Continue to spread the word. Share it with your fans. Don't share it with your fans. I guess you can share it with your fans. Share it with your friends and family. Like kind of all blended together. Your dog, anybody, your pet goose, your llama, I don't care who you share it with. Just share it. Continue to rate it 5 stars. Like it, subscribe it, unsubscribe, resubscribe, all, whatever. Just keep sharing the love. We appreciate it. Each and every week, let's continue to grow this base. And as always, you can find Sippin With Sin on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at Sippin With Sin, SIPPIN with Sin. Go drop a follow, say hello. Drop your last call question. Hit us with a sinister tale. Or come to the Gilded server, my personal Gilded server. We have a whole section just with Sippin With Sin. Go to gilded.gg/Sinister Pack. In the application, just put here for the podcast. Go to the Sippin With Sin section. Talk to Christian. Talk to me. Drop some questions for us. We love to hear them. We love to get them, answer them, and we love to converse with you all. You can find me pretty much anywhere on social media at IamSinister TV, minus YouTube. YouTube is just IamSinister. But Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, all that stuff. Twitch. You can find me streaming live on Facebook at fb.gg/IamSinisterTV, on Twitch at twitch.tv/IamSinisterTV, and TikTok, just IamSinisterTV. We have some fun incentives going on. Come see stuff like maybe potentially me having to do a glitter beard or do the Hot Ones challenge or some other stuff that I really don't want to do. But, it's all for the sake of content, so come hang out with us. Christian, where can the folks find you?
You guys can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Vin and Ink. That is VEN and Ink, all one word. Only have 2 social medias because, contrary to popular belief, I don't really like social media too much. So that's where you can find me.
You can find him on a third one, OnlyFans, Vin and Ink, also.
Man, absolutely. What I'd like to do is mundane tasks like washing dishes and vacuuming, but in my drawers. So if you like that, if you're in a big tubby, come on by.
Oh my God, this guy. All right, but that's going to do it for this episode. We appreciate you being here. Again, spread the word. Like it, share it, subscribe it, rate it 5 stars. Let's continue to grow, and we'll see you guys next week. All right, Christian, shut it down for us.
Thank you guys so much for tuning into yet another episode of Sippin With Sin. Be sure to leave a 5-star review. Smash that like button. Leave your comments and recommendations in the comment section below. But more importantly, guys, don't get gutted.
See you guys next time.